Right, well, we've had it in now for 36 hours. It says 24 to 48 ideally for the silicon and everything to cure, and then a gradual burn to get the temperature up gradually. So we've got the temperature gauge on the flue there. We've got the fan at the back behind the flue where it recommends it to go. So we'll just gradually up the temperature during the night and see how we get on. But at the minute, it looks spot on. Right, well, Tracy's getting on with what she's doing. We're going to try and get this second project finished. The mesh for the fence should be here on Thursday. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm just trimming the edges of this. I'm going to make a step coming out here for the front, and then we've decided we're going to dig the garden around into a flower bed. We're not going to have it raised. Plus, it keeps costs down. Right, well, finally, we've got the main bulk of it done. It's 20 past 4. It's took longer than I thought because I was just going to do a straight square step, but thought I'd go for something a bit fancy and test my skills. So we've done it with a bit arched corners, so we're going to put either some lamps or these pots on the sides just to make it look a bit more prettified. And then on Thursday when we get back, because tomorrow we're taking the day off because we're going away for the day, so when we get back on Thursday I'll start with this, cutting in the what's going to be the bed, the flower bed area, get all the bushes in, get some topsoil ordered, and like I say, leave that towards Grace. But this is just going to be a chill out area. It's not for any cooking or working on or anything like that. It's just purely for chilling out. So like I said, it's 20 past 4. I'm going to get a couple of beers and chill out.
And practice.
Huh?
And practice.
Well, welcome back. Here we are again on the decking project area. I'll just keep this brief because we have spent a lot of time on this, but while Tracy's been in the house editing last week's video, I've just been getting on with this meshing the outside to tidy it up a bit. It is the look I wanted to go for. You can probably barely see the mesh on the video, so you can see right through, and it was a priority to get this meshed up because when you've got lambs and little dogs, we don't want them getting in or them getting out. So it's pretty much done. I just need to go around and finish off tacking it a load more because it is a bit flimsy. I don't know if they're making things more inferior nowadays, but it doesn't feel like other stuff we've bought in the past. So we've got 3 days left off the paid job and we've got a lot to cram in before we go back to work. So I've got to get this finished, which will only take me about another 20 minutes, and then continuing on, I've got another garden project added onto this, which I'll show you in a moment what I'm on about. Tracy's got a lot of work she wants to get done in the veg plot, and we've also got the pig pen to build, the eggs to candle and get them sorted out. So hopefully we'll get it all in. Weather depending, if it stays like this we should manage it easy. So hopefully the weather gods are shining on us and we'll get it all done. So the next part of the garden project I'm going to get onto today, and hopefully this will be a transformation video and it'll be done in a day, but we'll see, is this eyesore behind me. So last autumn we started all this and we put the base down and we pulled all old dead fir trees out of this area behind us and we couldn't decide what we were going to do with it. So while we're on with fences, another big job is to replace all this behind me. So all these trees that are on there, they're all dying, they've all fell over, they've all blown over, the fence is all snapped and rickety. So we're on about taking all them trees out, replacing them with something, but like I said, we just can't decide what, and then replacing that whole fence down there to give a better view, like onto the garden and back onto the barn. So we just covered it over with this membrane, and it's been like that ever since. So I think we've decided now we're going to come off the deck and step here and cut a nice clean line, curving round, curving all the way up to the edge of this membrane, and then I'm going to dig it out, dig all the, because it's full of tiles and bits of brick and everything under there, so I'm going to have a lot to dig out, get rid of that, and then we're going to backfill it from the ground up until here with all compost and topsoil, and then it's going to become a big flower garden with shrubs, and we've got a big magnolia tree to go in the middle. We've got some well-established shrubs already that are in pots that we're going to fill it in, but it's going to take a lot to fill. So that's where Grace comes in. So she's into her flowers. She's got a load growing in the polytunnel at the minute, which she's going to transplant into here, So that's a big job in itself for her and a big job in itself for me. So while I'm getting on with that, see what Tracy's on with in the veg plot.
I have to say, editing videos makes you feel like you're in a completely different climate. It's so cold when you just sat still doing nothing, but finally outside, winter coat on, which hopefully won't be on for too long. I'll be catching up with Stephen and warming up. He is cracking on, continuing doing the work that he's doing there. I'll show you what he's on with or where he's got up to in just a second. I've got a few quick animal jobs to get done, and then I'm going to try and get in the greenhouse and the veg plot. Well, I'm not going to try, I'm going to do it. First of all, how pretty are the blossom on these trees. So this is pear, the one I showed you first is cherry, and that one over there is also pear. We had an absolutely fantastic pear year last year, but something ate them. More on that later in the season, when we hopefully start getting the pears. I'm currently walking around the veg plot. I'm going to go and grab Stephen, because oh, right, rewind. We think we've found what is causing the holes in the veg plot. And for those of you that said rabbits, you were right. Now, I say we think because we haven't seen them digging the holes in the veg plot, but we have seen them where the red currant bush is on the other side of the trellis, that all the red currant bark has been stripped off. They were there, so I'm going to put that footage in now. So, rabbits are definitely present. We've never had them before. I've just found another 2 holes, one big one. Oh, wow. Asparagus. Another thing. In a moment. Don't get distracted, Tracy. I'm walking around and looking for the holes to see if there's any more whilst I'm talking to you. That's why we're wandering around. Okay, so it looks like just the 2 new ones. I'm going to go and grab Stephen in a moment because his phone's actually on time lapse to show you what he's doing at the minute, so I'm not going to ring him and I'm not going to ring him and disturb that. Look at the asparagus first. So we were only just talking in the comments the other day about asparagus, saying that it's usually May, and where are we now? 10th of April, so this is the official first lot of asparagus. And there's clearly weeds that need taken out there too. But that's fantastic. So it generally doesn't start to crop heavily until May. If I just get my shadow out of the way. But to see some now in April. It's been a funny year again though, hasn't it? Do we say that every year now? So maybe we officially get asparagus in the middle of April now. That's fantastic. So asparagus used in soft-boiled eggs instead of bread. My God, amazing. Right, look at this one first. I'm going to try and keep my shadow out of the way, but there's clearly a little hole there. But the one I wanted to show you, and my question is, and the reason I'm saying is it really rabbits, because all of this green here hasn't been touched, and they've dug here. This is like last night, this morning, or yesterday even, with us being away. So that's what I'm going to go and get Stephen for, so he can have a look, see if there's anything in there. But surely they haven't nested in there this quickly, because I don't know, do they take a while for the nests? Anyway, I was coming over to show you how good that cabbage that's now being trashed looks, but how quickly these have taken off too. So I think what I'm going to do, I was coming out and just going to have a look around, see what needed to be done, because I do have the list of things to do as well. And I thought, let's go and appreciate some of the veggies first. The spinach there is coming up fantastically as well. That will bolt because that's from last year, so it'll go to seed soon, so we'll eat what we can. So yeah, what I think I'll do is get these beds weeded once Stephen's had a look, and make a start with that basically. The other thing that started coming up, not sure who's left this rake like this, but are these onions. So the onions are all coming up nicely, so they just need a little hoe in between those as well. And then in this bed over here, there's also the shallots that are starting to come through too. So even though something is digging in the beds. We're starting to move forward. It must be too new to have nested or anything.
They drag us in. I've got to go for the night. Stick or cane.
Which keeps going.
Oh dear.
Nothing on it.
No, this is the furthest they've went.
Unless it goes on the corner.
Nothing on it.
Yeah.
How long would it have taken them to do that?
Oh, there's something in here. There's something. Leaves and...
You made me think it was gonna... Oh wow.
There you go. What makes a nest out of grass and leaves? Put that in the comments below.
Oh my goodness me. I feel a little bit guilty. No, I don't. No, I don't.
There's no...
Oh my god, look how far his arm is. That's a lot of hard work. Oh hell, that's not flipping rats, is it?
No.
Big hole for a rat. I wouldn't like to see the rat that come out of there.
Do rabbits make nests like that?
No idea. I'll have to Google it. I think that's as far as I can get.
Does it stop at the end or does it go around the corner?
Yeah, that's it. There's just a... Yeah, just a solid circle now. That's it. No droppings though.
There isn't any anywhere, is there? That's the weird thing.
Must be that rabbit. We'll have to get it tonight. Mr. McGregor style.
There is another tiny one over there. But this is my concern. Where did it go? Here. So this is fresh. But that one's much smaller, which is why I'm wondering if it's rodents. That's only just been started. And the difficulty is we use goat's bedding as well, which the manure there looks exactly like rabbit droppings.
At least they're turning it all in for us. Right.
Thank you.
Back to my job now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack.
Right, well, I've certainly warmed up because I've been sat here doing my research and it is lovely and warm right next to where clearly a rabbit, after my research, has been preparing her nest. There was no kits in there, so I think that she's just in the setting up stage, and from what I've quickly read, literally in the last 5 or 10 minutes, is that over 1 to 2 nights they can start to prepare this. Over 3 days onwards they start to basically create warrens, and they've chosen our vegetable garden to do that in. So there's an option to block up where we think they might be coming in, but again, from what I've read, they're super stubborn, and once they've decided that's where they want to be, that they're going to try and continue to come back. And that's probably why we're seeing the different holes in the different beds, so that when I've disturbed one and filled one in, they're just basically moving on to the next area. We set up a trail camera, which is the footage that I've shown you of the photos where there's a rabbit coming in. Might not be the same one, might be something coming in totally different area. So we're going to set up one of the ring cameras that we've got that we use when we're lambing or when we have something that's ill and we need to keep an eye on it. So I'm going to set something, and hopefully I'll be able to get that extended out here. The Wi-Fi will hopefully stretch far enough, and then we'll go from there. Unfortunately, it will need to be removed. Not sure how I feel about that, because obviously we're talking about a pregnant rabbit here, but we don't use poison or anything like that. But we'll figure that out, and we'll let you know when it's done. And if I have any more issues or holes, I'll let you know about those as well. In the meantime, I'm going to get moving on to get these beds weeded. The thing that's making me confused somewhat still and questioning rabbits, despite everything suggesting that's what it is, and having seen them, but again, not in the actual vegetable beds, going to go around the area where we saw them now and just see if there's any more activity there. But the thing that's confusing me is none of the plants have yet been eaten. I mean, literally, rabbits can decimate something overnight, can't they? And that's just what's throwing me. Why haven't they touched anything? Is she too busy building a nest? And it's too big to be rats or rodents from that size. The chickens have blocked the entrance. I couldn't quite get in with buckets. I'm sure it wasn't the chickens. I'm just being silly. Right. Okay, so this is the area in our little orchard area where the other activity was. This is all just chickens' dust baths. Just looking at these trees as we're going around. Right, so previously we had this hole here where we think the rabbit was coming in. It looks very used. If I give you a bit more of a close-up, you can see that it's got sort of slide marks on it, so to speak. This is the bush that's been decimated around the outside, along with this one here, and this is actually the area where the camera picked up the rabbit. So I mean, and it's difficult because this area here is just all rubble and sort of where the chickens have scraped over all of the earth that's already here. It's difficult to see if there are any drop-ins. But the area, the burrow that Stephen was looking at before, sorry chickens, it's this one. And I'm wondering if there's anything going on in there now, because he did look in and put the stick in and there was nothing on the end of the stick and it got all the way right to the end. There was no bedding or anything. But then again, when he put the stick in just there, no bedding came out either. So maybe she'll come back here. Maybe there's more than one. Anyway, while we're here, let's totally appreciate, look at that. Didn't want to disturb this damson tree. So look at the beautiful blossoms on that. So there's damson, cherry, Sunday lunch if he keeps going, and then apples. So different stages. These are mature ones here, like been here for donkey's years. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these are super mature as well. And I think this is one that we moved here, these two, in the last couple of years, because when we did the vegetable plot, which is just behind me there, we tried to fit everything in as best we could. And we said we'll leave those red currant bushes in because they were in from the previous owners and see if they come to anything, but hopefully they'll survive the rabbits eating them. Right, so I've just spoke to Stephen and said about that burrow there, because he can't remember if he filled it in or not. I don't think he did, which is why it's still like it is. I don't think it's been redug. So he's going to come round and take a look at that when he's finished doing what he's doing. I can hear them loading the trailer up with the rubble. Jack's come out to help him. So with the rubble from the bit that he's working on now. So I'm definitely going to get these beds weeded now. It's on my mind, wondering what it is though.
Situation report. So as you can see, all these slate, the previous owners to us have just dumped them all down, looks like, to make a hardcore standing for the car park. So if I can just pull all that back, we're not going to plant anything right up here anyway against the fence. So if we come a foot out and I get everything out from about a foot out and then we're down to the soil, then I should just be able to flatten it all off, turn it all over with a fork, and then we should be ready for the soil. Right, we've got all the bulk of the rubble out, give it a rake. Obviously still some little bits of stone and stuff like that in, but when we come to dig the plants in, or the bushes, whatever we put in, we'll just take them out as and when. So now we just need to decide where we're going to cut it, but before we do that I need to get some topsoil and compost, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to backfill it first and then we can decide on the shape, because we were originally going to come from this point here to come round, but now we're thinking of coming from here, because eventually we're going to put a path in there, so we might come from here and bulb us out round and then come back here to take all these thistles and nettles out. We can dig them out then, but we'll do a few AI renderings and see what they come up with, because we're not very imaginative people.
That's another little job done. So this is the bush that suffered from the rabbit or whatever it is that's been cooking. That was a absolutely non-intentional slip. The rabbit that's been kicking the soil out, that's the one that suffered, so hopefully it'll be okay. I've taken the nets off and put those back in the shed. There was a net on both of these that obviously suffered in the recent storms and wasn't needed anymore anyway. It was just to get them established, because these plants went in the autumn of last year. I've actually taken out, you can just see on the right hand side there, some of these onions that are growing. So these here are garlic, and these here are onions alongside there as well. They again are last year's that didn't come up, so I've left them in to see what they would do. Some of them were okay, a couple of them weren't, so the ones that weren't I've just put in the weed bucket there, and they'll get composted. So I thought, right, I'm going to leave the others in, because if they're usable then we'll use them. I've taken off some of the bottom leaves of the plants for the pigs, so that's going to go straight into the pigs, and then same for this bed, just stood up the plants where I could, best I could. But to be honest, brassicas tend to, when they lay down, just grow upright from wherever they've kind of fell over anyway. This one on the end is throwing off a flower, so that won't last too much longer. So that won't last too much longer, I'm sure. We'll use the greens ourselves, and then the plant itself will go to the pigs when it's finished, straight from the garden. And this here is also garlic on the end, again from last year, totally randomly, did not grow last year but has decided to grow this year, so we're going to wait and see what turns up from there. And then a few more leaves off the cabbages there, which are going to go straight into the pigs now. It's quite warm in the barn, so it'll probably be a nice refreshing sort of juicy treat for them. Next up, this bed, I need to give it a rake because it's got some debris in from last year, a few beetroots that have sprouted that obviously didn't get pulled, and then just tidy up around where the spinach is and start using that spinach now. One or two have gone to flower already, but there's plenty of meals left from this bed. It's 4 seasons in one day again, well 2, it's cooled off quite a lot. I'm just going to move the camera that I've set up so that it can see these beds that I've just weeded. While we nip out, we need to go and get some feed for next week for the animals, just so that we don't have to worry about that when we go back to the paid job. One less thing to think about.
Through the fence. Well, we've done as much as we can do up there on the garden area. We're just waiting for some topsoil and compost to be delivered, and it's coming tonight, so we'll have to get that off before we finish. So I thought, while we're waiting for that, we'll come down to the pig area, because I'm going to get on with this tomorrow, and we need to move this electric fence so I can work on this side. So we've come up with a sort of a plan that we're going to start a gate. We're going to cut this fence away from into the field, and we're going to put a new gate in here which is going to come into the pig area and start the fence at this side, so that way we can get the trailer into the field, just back up to this gate and get them in and out as and when required. So I think we're just going to come straight from here, pointing up straight towards that end piece of corrugated iron or sheet metal, whatever you want to call it, and end it on that tree where the metal ends, and that should give them a nice big, I think I said 2,200 square foot of space to be on the go with. So our first job is though to get this fence moved so we can get Dexter back in here and gives me a place to work in safely so he doesn't get me.
Yeah. That's straight enough, Steve, by my eyes.
If you go like this. Right, so it's a quick job. That sorted that out. So like I say, I'm coming from that post. It's giving me plenty of room to work tomorrow. I'm going to put a string line on tomorrow though, so I can get all the posts nice in line, because every time we build a pig pen and we look back at it, it's always all over the place, pretty much like these posts are now. So I want a nice straight line, getting a bit finicky in my old age. And then
No, a bit rickety, not finickety.
finickety. And like I say, then we'll put a 5-foot gate on once we get this built. The pigs aren't due to come down here yet for another maybe 4 weeks or something. You know,
Well, they'll tell us, won't they, when she starts climbing out?
yeah. So hopefully I should get all this done tomorrow, weather permitting. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like, but we'll see in the morning when we wake up.
Come forward, isn't he?
Don't know. Annie!
I don't think I can do that anymore.
Why don't you give it a try? What's your head do? Compost deliveries arrived. It's actually still steaming, which isn't great. But
Move.
Annie! Hold on tight.
Annie. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Right. Annie.
Right, well that's 2 ton in. Starting to take shape. Family effort there to get it all off and rake it in. So we'll get another 2 tomorrow. But it'll be afternoon, I think. It's going to rain all morning. And he's at work till after dinner anyway, so it should work out fine. So another 2 ton tomorrow. See where we get on with. And then we'll cut it into shape.
Sun's just come out in time for you.
Just in time to stop. Whew. Right, we've just been out this morning, got another 2 ton, got it back and unloaded. So now we just need to decide where we're going to cut in the bed. I think we're going to come from roughly somewhere there, come round like that, and then come straight up here where all these horrible thistles and everything are, just to tidy all that up. So we're going to get a string line in, cut it out, dig it out, and then we'll flatten all that out and get it all level, and hopefully it'll be somewhere near.
For today's main meal this afternoon or this evening, whenever we end up having it, I have taken out what I didn't know if it was a joint or individual pieces because I didn't label it. So there's your lesson, everybody. This is actually lamb neck, which don't be curling noses up too soon. Is going to be absolutely delicious. This is sliced into 4 different slices. I can't remember if he's boned it out. I don't think so. No, there's still bone in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this browned off, but I'm actually going to use the Instant Pot to do it. I'm still going to do it in the slow cooker portion of the Instant Pot. If it's not tender enough by the time we come to eat, then I'll just do it on a little bit of a pressure cook. So I'm starting off with, this is just our own rendered fat. So I've got a tiny bit in there. I'm going to put the heat on, never get the right one first time, to melt that down, and I'm going to put some leeks and onions in and then just soften those and brown the meat off. And we're going to add the usual root veg and pearl barley with some lamb stock and then some other bits and pieces, and just leave that in the slow cooker all day. It should be absolutely delicious. So I've chopped up an onion already, and I have had my very first soft onion that I could probably use this half of it, to be honest, and probably do that in stock, but I just thought, I didn't know if it had gone bitter all the way through because that is super soft there, and I didn't want to waste a full meal to that. So I'll maybe chop that half off, keep that for using the bones after we've had this meal, and make some stock from that. But that's the first one that's been no good from literally last year's harvest. So super pleased. I've also got one of the slightly fatter, shorter leeks. This isn't from, what is it called? This is a different variety, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember what this variety is, but it wasn't the Porbella. So either way, it's going to be a perfect amount to go into this one meal. So I'm going to get that chopped up in with the onion and get those softening down. Right, I've got the leek that I'm going to use in the meal for tonight, and then I've got this, which is the green ends. Haven't yet been washed, obviously. You can probably still see the soil that's on there. Very loosely chopped. I'm going to give it a wash and set it to one side with this half of the onion that I mentioned, and that's going to become the stock veg for when we've taken the meat off the bones after our meal tonight, and that can just go on either in the slow cooker overnight, or I'll just pressure can it for 60 minutes or so with some of the other veg peelings. This is what it's looking like now. You can't really see, I've just thrown the onions on the top. You know, lamb neck is never going to look very pretty, but honestly it'll be super tasty and super tender. So I'm just going to add those leeks on and get everything browned off, and then add the root veg. Right, a couple more ingredients that we're going to add. I have got a store-bought even, tiny bit of red currant left. My daughter loves this stuff, she goes through it loads. But what we make for the small holding that Stephen and I try to use instead of the shop-bought stuff, this is actually gooseberry syrup / jelly. This didn't set, but I'm absolutely fine with that. If you've ever seen me doing those videos, if it's not a jelly, then it's a syrup and it gets used. So instead of red currant, I'll be using this gooseberry, whatever you want to call it, I guess. And the other thing we've got, this is a jar of homemade stock. This is quite weak looking at it, so I'll need to flavour that up as well. And from the lockdown pantry, still getting through about 50 million bags of pearl barley. So I'll probably put about a quarter of that in, realistically. I don't pre-wash it or anything like that, because I tend to find that it thickens up really well if I don't pre-wash it. So I know some people will always have to pre-wash, but I don't, certainly for these or for Scotch broth or anything like that. And then I've got some carrots and parsnips, which I've just chopped, that I'm going to throw in now and top it up with a bit more, probably another one of these stock, maybe a litre, something around that. We'll just do it by eye. So it wasn't weak stock. I've been and got another one off the shelf and added it. It was actually apple juice. So that's now in the fridge for us to enjoy tomorrow or whenever. Right, this is what it's looking like, ready to be slow cooked now until whenever we're ready to eat it in, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours, something like that. Everything's in there, including the pearl barley, which is just underneath. I've brought it to the boil and I'm just going to leave it in the Instant Pot on the slow cook option, and we'll see how it gets on.
Right, well, we've decided on a design. We've cut round the edging, dug it down a bit, turned it over, sorted all the topsoil and the compost out, and then we've just dragged these over, these bushes. We've had these in these pots now for a couple of years, and the pots are looking a bit worse for wear. So we're going to transplant these into here. We don't know where we're going to put them yet, so we've just dragged them all over from the patio. We're going to give them a good water. So we've got a couple of hydrangeas here, one doing a lot better than the other. We've got a blue, I'll just hold that up because I don't know what it is. Ceanothus there, which was only tiny when we got it last year. That hasn't half come on. Then we've got a couple of these, I think there's 3 in each one, which are perennial king size pyrethums, I think they're called. And then we've got this one here we've got in a couple of years, so that's come on well since we've had it, which is that. I'm going to attempt that one. And then we've got a magnolia one, which Tracy's mum's just got her for Easter.
Well, good morning. It is Sunday, the 12th of April. It's coming up to 9 o'clock, and Stephen and I are doing something that's planned but unplanned, always the case. It's actually supposed to be quite nice weather today. It's due to nighten up later on, but it feels as though there's yet another storm. It's super windy. I think we say that every year and then get surprised by the wind every year. I think there's a lady, Deanna, saying in the comments that she hopes Stephen isn't getting a cold. Well, Deanna, what's the lottery numbers? Because you were absolutely right. He is loaded with it. So it's doing the rounds in our house at the moment. So he was looking for just a couple of hours chilling on the sofa Sunday morning, and then we got a phone call saying, can you be here in 15 minutes to collect the lambs? So every year now at the moment, while we've got our 2 pet ewes, ancient they are, we're keeping those on the land, and we've said, right, whilst they're still here, which could be for a long time yet, we're not going to have ewes and have them, what's it called? Breed. We're not going to have ewes and breed here for lambs, at least on the small holding. So So every year we get some orphan pets, whatever you want to call them, where some ewes had triplets, and she can only feed the 2, and then the ones that the farmer decides is not going to stay, we take 4 on. At least that's what we did. At least that's what we did last year, and it worked out really well. Got some 4 big, strong, healthy lambs. So we're doing the same again this year, but what we do is we speak to a couple of different farmers in the area, because it doesn't always work out time-wise. Things go wrong, you know, things like that. So we went to see him the other week and said, if you've got some, that'd be fantastic. Didn't get a phone call, so actually agreed to get them off somebody else last night, and of course then got the phone call from him this morning. Well, loyalties kind of lie with him, because he's our local neighbour and local farmer, etc., being very, very good to us. So we did speak to the other person and explain the situation. Totally fine, no problems at all. So we're heading over there now. They're literally sorting out the pet lambs as we speak. I have a feeling we might get a couple of jobs while we're there. So Stephen's just rushed in, as I say, set up the heat lamp, which thankfully is still working. Those things can be a little bit temperamental. Put some extra straw in, because Grace cleaned this pen out recently. Speak of the devil. Good morning, Grace. So yeah, she cleaned this pen out recently, put some fresh straw in, but we've just added more to receive them. So I'm going to close this, because the loose chickens will be in if we don't, making a mess. Right, are we ready to go? Ready?
Yep.
Well, the last additions for the year, well, actually maybe not for the year, to the barn. Yeah, I'll get the, do you want me to get it, Steve? And all born since it's Sunday today, and all of these have been born from Wednesday onwards, so just a few days between them. Yeah, that's either the rund or just born.
No, just born. Have you just been born? Watch that curls on your foot though.
Get my water. I'll get my water.
I think we found out what's been digging the holes in the garden.
What's that?
You?
Oh.
Right, it's Monday evening, it's 7:30, the sun's just about to go down, we've just had tea, and we've just come out and finished, after much deliberation, putting these plants in that we've got. We already had 7 of them, the biggest ones there, we already had them 7, and we picked up another 8 yesterday from the garden centre. So we think we've put them in right. It's a bit out of our wheelhouse, based on height and spread. So I think it looks pretty good up to now, and that's our bit done, because now it's over to Grace. So we're just going to give these a good watering in, and fingers crossed.
So what have we got?
Well, you can do the names.
We've got buddleia, a magnolia cross, like what I'd call a mongrel. It's a magnolia bush, sort of 3 meters by 3 meters, that says. Stephen's favourite, hydrangeas. This is euphorbia. Is it called miners something? I can't remember. Anyway, it said to plant that in like a triangle. They like to be together. Can't remember what this is, but it's a flower, isn't it? And it gets to about 1 metre high. These are something like pyrethrum. We're not yet au fait with the flower names, so bear with us. But these are last year's perennials, so they'll come back hopefully this year. And they're basically at the height that they stayed at last year, and just flowered, so nice to add. Another hydrangea, which I don't know if flowers have different, growing phases like vegetables do, as in early or late. So this one may just be a little bit later, or maybe it's just not as strong as the other one. Time will tell. And then we've got this one here. How do you say that? Fortinia, something like that. But apparently that grows quite tall and thin, a nice red colour. This one is the same as that one. And then we've got Ceanothus, I think that's how you pronounce it, in the background there. That's a lovely blue colour. We had that last year, and the spread, it put a lot of growth on last year. And then 2 very lonely English lavenders, which we'll probably get some more to make a nice little lavender corner. And then obviously Grace is going to fill in all in between, so it will be nice and hopefully colourful and jam-packed. And the idea is to have it as kind of as busy as possible to keep the weeds down, basically.
And the dogs off.
Well, yeah, because the dogs are...
Because I'm not building any more fences to go around.
The dogs are loving it, shall we say. So that will be a bit of a problem.
Right, well, just a quick lamb update. We've had these now 36 hours. We've given them 4 or 5 feeds while we've had them, and they're all feeding well. Except this big one here was a bit hit and miss to start with. He wasn't really taking any, but now he's starting to guzzle it down, so that's good. So yeah, they're all feeding well, all doing great, all up and about, jumping about, all seem strong and healthy. So pretty pleased with them up to now, and hope it keeps going. So the barn is now officially full for the spring, come summer, until they all see the outside world.
Until the turkeys arrive.
No, not until the turkeys arrive. Eh? What's she talking about? What's she talking about? Right. Being later with your feed.
Just as well we came in late tonight, these two ladies were absolutely terrified because these 4 brutes, who I've distracted with some cabbages out of the garden, have got the snouts into the hole here. That hole was made previously by, it was like a rodent run, unfortunately. So it's been chewed through, and they've got the snouts in and loosened it up. It was just as well that we were out here doing some checks. So Stephen thought he was going to get an early night tonight.